Today I will be giving an oral analysis of the reading program iReady. iReady was published in 2011 by Curriculum Associates. iReady is a reading and math program used to diagnose and help students grow. I will be focusing on the reading part of iReady. The main components of iReady are to diagnose learning needs, create individual learning patterns, identify at-risk students, group students for differentiated instruction, monitors growth, and recommends target instruction resources. Following are some characteristics about how the brain learns to read. The first phase in which reading occurs is in the occipital lobe, where we also have our visual processes. It is the initial phase because you first see the letters, words, sentences that we are reading. Secondly, we have our temporal lobes, which help us produce and understand speech and language, which we need to use when we are reading. The parietal lobe, which controls our senses of touch and is used for spatial processing and perception. And finally, our frontal lobe, which is used for planning and reasoning and ability to use speech. All of these parts within our brain are what we use when we are learning how to read. In neuroscience and education, neuroimaging has found that major systems for reading alphabetical scripts are lateralized to the left hemisphere. Studies conclude that alphabetic and orthographic processing seems mainly associated with occipital, temporal, and parietal areas. This is associated to iReady because it focuses on the building blocks of reading, which include phonological awareness and phonics. As this journal also states, phonological awareness helps predict reading acquisition across languages, and phonological processing appears to be focused on the temporal parietal junction. According to the National Reading Panel, the best approach to reading instruction must have explicit instruction and phonemic awareness, systematic phonics instruction, ways to improve fluency, and to enhance comprehension. Now that we have some background on how the brain learns to read and what is expected when students learn to read, I'm going to give you some more information on how I have implemented iReady with my students. Our district has purchased iReady to be piloted in 3 different middle schools, including the one I currently work at. We have had iReady since the end of last year, 2016, but started setting it up in January of this year. So we have not been using iReady for a long time. We have currently had it for about 5 months and have been using it for almost 3. I have been using iReady with my special education students as a supplemental learning activity. When my students first took the diagnostics test, the results showed low reading skills in the areas of phonological awareness, phonics, high-frequency words, vocabulary, and comprehension, which are also the 5 main domains that iReady focuses on. Because I do work with special education children, I knew that these areas were going to be the ones which were more affected. SOSA mentions that the children who are learning to read, about 20 to 30%, will have this as their greatest cognitive struggle. And I couldn't agree more. Because as I mentioned before, as an educator to special education needs, my children are truly struggling with having a good foundation with reading skills and comprehension. One of the amazing things of iReady is that this program gives suggested lessons to targeted SCs, which are our learning standards. iReady also helps group students with the same struggles into small groups. So as the educator, I can carry out the lessons in a guided reading format or one-to-one. With the way that iReady is set up, with first conducting its diagnostics test and letting the educator know whether the student lies within the spectrum of low skills or high reading skills, I believe it does follow how the brain learns. iReady starts with the building blocks of reading, which is phonological awareness and phonics, which we see are the signs of basic components of first learning how to read and decipher letters and sounds. I believe it's an imperative to continue to work with students who are struggling to read on the foundations of reading, knowing that all parts of the brain are working together when we are learning to read. We are visually seeing the letters, connecting them to the words, and using our temporal lobes to produce the reading of those words. Our brains are an amazing organ, which we will continue to learn and hopefully make us better educators to help our students be successful not only in reading but across all subjects. I hope to continue using iReady to see how it improves my students' reading skills and comprehension skills as more time goes by. Thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed this analysis of the iReading program.